Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay. The other day, Hakeem Jeffries was holding a press conference, or was talking to the press. And he was describing how the Democrats are not out of touch with the voting public. I don't know the exact question. I suppose I could go look it up, but I got the gist of it from watching it. And he was explaining how, starting with North Carolina, which is my favorite example, how the Democrats won the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, and other offices down the line, but Donald Trump won the state. And his point he was making is, if we swept the state other than the presidency, I don't think the message that the Democrats are putting out there is out of step or out of touch with the voting public. He then wanted to talk about Wisconsin and Michigan, Arizona. With Arizona, he mentioned, Trump won that state by a lot, but look, we got Ruben Gallego into the Senate. How does that happen? That type of thing. Now, maybe with North Carolina, the MAGA Republican governor choice was horrible, and the Dems won that one like 3 million to 2.2 million votes. But somehow Trump got 2.8 million votes and Kamala Harris only got like 2.6 million votes. So I don't understand how 3 million people voted for the Democratic governor but didn't also vote for the Democratic president. You know what I mean? It's unlikely that there's like 400,000 people, Republicans, that voted for a Democratic governor that jump sides. That really there's 2.8 million Republicans voting and 2.6 million Democrats voting, and that 400,000 of those Republicans jumped over to vote for the Democrat for governor, but then jumped back to vote for Trump for president. But also, those same 400,000 Republicans voted for the lieutenant governor and attorney general to be Democrats. Doesn't make sense. The math doesn't math. And he named 5 swing states where the Democrats won key positions yet lost the presidential race. And, the message that he was coming across at a very base level was, I don't think the Democrats are out of touch. Our message is pretty spot on. The subtle part, the thing that you can read into it, is that planting the seed of, we carried the whole state, but somehow we lost the presidency. We carried this state, but somehow we lost the presidency. And he kept saying, we're not saying that Trump didn't win. We're just saying we carried the rest of the state. And, it should cause you to think, like, how? How is it possible that the Democrats could carry, in North Carolina, the entire state, but not carry the presidency? And there's going to be people say, well, some people didn't want a woman to be president. Some people didn't want a black woman to be president. Sure. And what party do those people normally flock to? Right? It's not the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party doesn't really, generally speaking, have a problem with women being in charge. Nancy Pelosi. Don't have a problem with black people being in charge. Barack Obama, Hakeem Jeffries. They don't typically have a problem with that. If anything, that kind of encourages them. That kind of gets them all juiced up and ready to go out and vote. So this argument that, they don't want a black woman to be president, that might motivate people to go out and vote for the Republican, but while they're there, there's other red boxes to check too, to really stick it to the libs, if you know what I mean. My brother's talked about bullet ballots, and that's where the ballot just votes for Trump and then nobody else, and that's kind of sus. Just saying. So I want to look at where am I going with this? To me, it could be, if you look at the minutia, Hakeem Jeffries has now also planted the seed of doubt on this election. To go with Gavin Newsom's planting the seed of doubt about 10 days ago, Barack Obama about 10 days ago planting the seed of doubt. Was Hakeem Jeffries alluding to the fact that this election might be stolen? And I'm sorry if I'm harping on this. I don't want to give false hope. The free will resides with Joe Biden and the Democrats. They can pursue this or they cannot pursue this. And all the cards I throw in the world on this subject, no matter how positive they say that they would, the Democrats challenge this, they'll be successful and they'll get in the White House and take back Congress. If they don't choose to take that step, it doesn't mean my cards are wrong. It just means that they just decided not to run that race, a race that they would have won. And that's kind of the frustrating part of it, right? Because we want them to do it. I've got cats here. What are you doing? Leave her alone. Hang on. Okay, so segue. Let me turn this around over here. What we've got going on here is I ordered some crystals, and they came in a box, and the box came with packing paper, and the cats are enjoying stepping on the packing paper. And Elle was laying on this packing paper over in the corner over here, like a flying carpet, and Nico came by, and he was all aggro because she's laying on the flying carpet and not giving him a turn. So he pounced on her, and she was yowling in protest. So I laid out, as a good parent, I did what you do and laid out a second magic carpet. They can both have their magic carpets. Plenty of raw materials for Aladdin and his cohort. Wait, who's the girl in Aladdin? Anyways, for both of them to fly around in a brave new world. I've already done 2 kids. Now we got cats. Okay, where was I? What rant was I ranting on? Okay, so Hakeem Jeffries, is he actually signaling that? Is he signaling to us that the Democrats are going to look into this further? And that's where I was going with it. It's basically, it's a free will choice. We can't. As frustrating as it is for us knowing what we feel, if your leaders don't follow up on it, doesn't matter at that point, right? So let's take a look. Hakeem Jeffries with his speech. What's the energy around that? The death card. I think he's just trying to put an end. In some ways, he wants to put an end to the attacks on the Democrats. And that is actually one of the things that was really troubling me after the Democrats lost, was just the finger pointing that happened right afterwards. Kamala Harris was just Joe Biden 2.0, and that's why the Democrats lost. All this horrible finger pointing. Not anybody looking to analyze, like, how did this happen? Let's look at the data. What's really going on here? It just, that knee-jerk reaction of, it shows to me that the Democrats aren't as united as they could be. They are not in lockstep. They gave the appearance of it. Some people trusted, like, I don't really like this, but we'll go along with it. And the minute things go sideways, it's all finger pointing and disjointed. Cross with the 4 of Swords. Queen of Pentacles underneath. Yeah, and I think, again, Hakeem Jeffries was just trying to put an end to the squabbling. It's like, hey, look, you know what? When you look at the data and you think about everything that happened here, we are not out of touch with society. We lost the election. But again, to me, it's like, yeah, we lost the election to Donald Trump, but if you really think about it, did we really lose? I mean, how does he win these states when we carry everything underneath it? Get people to think. Stop and think. But underneath is the Queen of Pentacles. That's that thing of values. What are the democratic values? Did they communicate those values? They did. They didn't purportedly win the election. But if you stop and think about it, their values were fine. In the past, you got the King of Wands. To me, this is just Hakeem Jeffries being a leader and trying to unify the Democrats. Current situation is the Empress. Providing, this is providing to people, making sure everybody's taken care of. There's kind of a peacemaker type of vibe that's coming with this. let's put an end to the squabbling. Let's think about what our values are. And, the Democrats can have a new message. It's about providing for everybody. Because Trump's message is going to be about providing for billionaires. So that leaves a whole lot of the population left for the Democrats to message to. Overarching energy is the 10 of coins. This is so layered because 10 of coins could be about donations and money and fundraising coming in. This could be about intergenerational wealth, like the oligarchs would have. That there's enough wealth to share for everybody. And that's kind of what my first thought was. There's enough wealth in the United States for everybody to do well. There's no reason why the billionaire class should get even more and everybody gets less. It's just completely unnecessary. A lesson to be learned is the Five of Cups. The Democrats, despite having a message of values and inclusion and trying to make sure the wealthy pay their fair share to give our grandchildren a future, watching them fall apart after losing an election is really disappointing. Now, he points out, again with the 2 cups remaining, how well the Democrats did in battleground states that we lost the presidential election to, allegedly. Outcome is the 3 of Wands. Waiting for your ship to come in, looking forward to the future. At a superficial level, again, he's saying, this isn't the only election. We've got more elections coming up, and we need to get our message straight to people in order to win those elections. Am I getting much of a vibe that he was messaging that there's something up? Not really. Not from this. But I didn't ask that, did I? I just asked the energy around it. So let's ask, is Hakeem Jeffries, he should be one of the people, quote, in the know. You know what I mean? If the Democrats are planning on pushing forward a challenge to this presidential election, now I don't know when the deadline of that should be. Gary and I did do a video on it, which will come up the same time as this video comes up, where Trump signed a presidential act in 2018, executive order, basically saying that they need to look at elections, and they've got 45 days from the end of the election to submit a report if there appears to be any outside interference on the election by foreign powers. And that 45 days will end on Friday the 20th. So I know Kim from Intuit View did a live the other day, or not a live, but she did a reading the other day where she said the window's closing. I think the window closes the end of the day on Friday, December 20th. If the Democrats do not challenge the election by December 20th, they probably lose any chance they have of challenging it, and we might just have to accept that there's going to be a Trump presidency from 2025 on. Okay? And I tell you this, not that I'm trying to manifest it, but trying to set expectations. You can have hope through the 20th, but if it doesn't happen after the 20th, you've got about a month to get okay with, find a way to get okay with yourself that we're going to have to endure another potential 4 years of a Trump presidency. Okay. I'd like to think the Democrats are going to do something about it, but I can't, it's hope. Is it hope or false hope? I don't know. I can't control it. It's not up to me. That's the problem, right? If it was up to me, I could tell you what the answer is. But it's not up to me. It's up to Biden. Was Hakeem Jeffries messaging? Was he messaging that the Democrats might challenge this election by planting a seed of doubt that how can the Democrats win all these seats yet lose the presidency? Trump, the same thing happened to Trump in Georgia, allegedly, back in 2020, where a lot of the Republicans won the down ballot seats, but Trump did not win the presidency. The 10,750 votes that he wanted Brad Raffensperger to go find. And it's because a lot of people in that, when they looked at the ballots, they voted red down the line, but they didn't check the box for Trump as the president. And that's because he's so freaking polarizing that they didn't vote for a Democrat, but they weren't going to vote for him either. And Kamala Harris, for all her positives or negatives, she's not polarizing in that regard. There's not a whole lot of Democrats that are going to vote Democratic down the line and then say, nope, not voting for that. And if there are, well, congratulations. You got what you wanted, a Trump presidency. Good job. I don't think there are, though. Was he signaling? Seven of Cups, integrity versus illusions and delusions, and the Ten of Wands, the burden, the hard proof, and the agreement underneath. Was he signaling that the Democrats are going to challenge the election? You know, is it pie in the sky wish casting that the Democrats challenge it? Or is it about election integrity and the difficulties that you have to overcome when your elections are integral? But there's an agreement here. Is he signaling? This can go either way. I'm leaning towards yes, but it can go either way, certainly. In the past, you got the emperor, whether it's the Mad Emperor Donald Trump or Joe Biden. It's kind of out of his, or even Putin, because guess what country is the one that's meddling with the elections the most? China's doing it. Iran's doing it. North Korea's doing it. But Russia's the big one. We've got the Hanged Man current situation. Waiting to find out. This is... Is he signaling? Very possibly. You know, it's kind of... If he's signaling, it's a lot more tepid than what I was seeing with Gavin Newsom or even Barack Obama. But I'm not saying no to it. Overarching energy is the Six of Swords. Going from troubled waters to calmer shores. Leaving something. Moving away from something. Lesson to be learned is the Knight of Swords. Charging forward. I'm having a hard time with this. Here, if he was signaling, it's about election integrity and the problem that our elections are having. They're burdened. You know, you've got Putin coming in, meddling with things. The Hanged Man, we need to take another look at this election because of overseas interference. We need to move swiftly because we need to inaugurate the person who actually won. And it's going to take a united effort in order to do that. If he's signaling, that's kind of it. If he's not signaling, if he's just talking about the Democrats, he's trying to say, don't get your hopes up that we could overturn this. You know, it's going to be too difficult to do. He may be a doubting Thomas with this. Maybe Hakeem Jeffries, when he gave his thing, he hasn't seen quite everything that's going on here. And he feels like if the Democrats challenge this, they're going to throw their election chances under the bus, trying to blame a foreign power. And that's going to be reckless because it's going to impact their ability to win elections in the future. If he is not on board with this, he needs to get on board with it. At least he has plausible deniability because it wasn't as... It was more subtle, if that's the case. I'm not convinced that he's messaging with that. Or at least his messaging is a lot more subtle. How are Democrats going to feel by the end of the week this week with regards to the election? With the way of being, I imagine if Biden and crew have a report given to them by the Director of National Intelligence saying that there was interference with the election and sanctions could be levied against those who interfered with the election, the Democrats would probably be upbeat. If you hear nothing, then I think the Democrats are going to be kind of the way they are now, which is just, anxious. I've been so anxious all this week. It's literally like waiting for the shoe to drop. how are the Democrats going to feel by the end of the week? Because I think that's when the deadline ends. For Carter. Page of Cups. There's MAGA. MAGA with their craziness. There's the Queen of Pentacles. And in some ways, this is not a no yet, because if the Democrats are the ones saying the election was interfered with, it sounds just like MAGA from 2020, right? But it's the values that the Democrats have, overseas interference, and voters being left out in the cold, or people being left out in the cold. It could be economic problems. Underneath it all, the Empress, which is taking care of people, but it can also be Mother Russia. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to interpret this. It's going to sound, again, if the Democrats say the election was interfered with by overseas influences, it's going to sound crazy, because nothing like this has ever been announced in the U.S. before. But do you want to protect people's votes? Is this growth for a greater United States when you could admit to people that your elections aren't as secure as you thought they were, that there was overseas influence that was impacting how people voted? If the answer is no, that there is nothing, then it's accepting that MAGA is going to be here and people wanting to leave our country because they don't want to deal with this. People are going to be a lot poorer for it because you have to question American values. And, our people, how we're going to take care of folks in this going forward. It's not clear to me. You know what? In the end of the day, the reason why it's not clear, I'm not the one making the choice. That's Biden. Biden's got to make that choice. You can hope for it. I can hope for it. And can that be false hope? Sure. But we can't control how this goes. Other than send an email to Biden, send an email to Harris saying, when we fight, we win. Go ahead and take Kamala's battle cry and throw it right back in her face. You don't get to quit on us. We voted for you. If you have information that this election was stolen, then you're obligated to act on it because you're protecting our votes. And that's, it could be the one thing, well, we don't want people to think our elections aren't integral and that makes us look weak. Yeah, but if you capitulate to a side that didn't win, that tells us we're weak. So there you go. We'll leave it here. I wish I had a more definitive answer, but I don't think the answer has been decided yet. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I do hope you found it insightful. And I will give you a quick peek of the cats. Hey, Elle, what are you doing? Move my microphone out of the way. Hi. Are you playing Aladdin? Are you going to your magic carpet? Oh, you got a puffball in there. Kittens are so much fun. Anyways, thank you again for watching this video. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.